It was supposed to be just a simple dinner outing with my husband. Nothing unusual. Nothing suspicious. But by the end of that night, I realized something unsettling. He wasn't just talking to me. He was studying me. Every word I said, every reaction I made, felt like part of a game I didn't know I was playing. And somewhere between the polite smiles and calm conversation, I realized I might not be in control of that evening at all. What happened next changed everything I thought I understood about my marriage. There's a certain confidence people develop when they think they understand someone completely. That confidence can become dangerous. Especially in marriage. By the time that dinner date happened, I believed I knew my husband better than anyone else alive. I knew his habits, his routines, even the way he reacted to uncomfortable conversations. Predictable. Calm. Easy to read. Or at least, that's what I thought. The restaurant itself was beautiful in a quiet, intimidating way. Soft lighting. Dark polished wood. Expensive wine displayed behind glass walls like museum pieces. The kind of place people visit when they want to pretend everything in their lives is perfect. We sat near the back corner beside a large window overlooking the city lights. From the outside, we probably looked like any successful couple enjoying a peaceful evening together. But appearances can lie beautifully. I arrived at that dinner emotionally distracted already. Not guilty exactly. Just distant. My mind had been somewhere else for weeks. Elsewhere emotionally. Elsewhere mentally. And perhaps he noticed that long before I realized it myself. "You seem quiet tonight," he said while studying the menu. "I'm just tired." The answer came too quickly. He looked at me carefully. Not suspicious. Observant. That somehow unsettled me more. Because suspicion is emotional. Observation is strategic. And that night, he was thinking strategically. Dinner began normally enough. Small conversation. Polite smiles. Routine familiarity. But slowly, the tone shifted. Not dramatically. Subtly. Like someone tightening invisible strings one at a time. He started asking strange questions. Not accusatory ones. Specific ones. "What makes people lose interest in things they once loved?" he asked casually while pouring wine into my glass. I laughed lightly. "That's random." "Not really." He smiled faintly. "I think people change quietly before anyone notices." The sentence lingered longer than it should have. I picked up my glass to avoid eye contact. "You sound philosophical tonight." "Maybe I'm paying more attention lately." That sentence made my chest tighten slightly. Not because I believed he knew anything. But because part of me suddenly wondered how much people notice when we think they aren't paying attention. The conversation continued. But internally, something shifted. For the first time that evening, I no longer felt in control of the atmosphere between us. He did. And he knew it. Halfway through dinner, he excused himself briefly. When he returned, his expression remained calm. Almost too calm. Then he placed his phone face up on the table beside his wine glass. A message notification lit the screen briefly before fading dark again. I only saw it for a second. But it was enough. My stomach tightened immediately. Not because of what the message said. Because of the name attached to it. A name he should not have recognized. A name connected to conversations I believed existed safely outside my marriage. He never touched the phone again. Never mentioned it. Never even looked at it. That was the brilliance of it. Because suddenly I couldn't focus anymore. Every sentence became difficult. Every smile became forced. And he simply observed me unravel quietly from across the table. "You okay?" he asked calmly. "Yeah. You seem nervous." "I'm fine." But I wasn't. And he knew it. Not because he confronted me directly. Because he understood something important about human behavior. People reveal themselves more easily when trapped inside silence. That dinner stopped being about food long ago. It became psychological. A quiet chess match. And somehow, I realized far too late that I was losing. The drive home felt strangely peaceful. That terrified me more than anger would have. No accusations. No confrontation. Just silence. Thoughtful silence. The dangerous kind. When we arrived home, he loosened his tie slowly and poured himself another drink before finally speaking. You know, he said quietly, people think betrayal is always physical. I froze slightly. But honestly, emotional distance happens first. The room suddenly felt smaller. Still, he never accused me directly. Never demanded answers. Instead, he talked about marriage itself. About how people slowly disappear emotionally while pretending everything is normal. About loneliness that can exist even beside someone you love. And the strangest part? He wasn't entirely wrong. That's what unsettled me most. Because somewhere along the way, I had emotionally disconnected from my own life long before that dinner happened. And somehow, he saw it before I did. You can tell when someone stops being present, he said quietly. I looked away. Not because I had been exposed completely. But because I realized he understood me more deeply than I ever gave him credit for. That dinner wasn't about catching me. It was about forcing me to confront myself. And that changed everything. Weeks passed after that dinner outing. On the surface, life continued normally. No explosive arguments. No dramatic endings. No public revelations. But internally, something fundamental changed between us. For the first time in years, I stopped underestimating him. Stopped viewing him as emotionally passive. Stopped assuming silence meant ignorance. That dinner forced me to recognize something uncomfortable. He had been paying attention all along. Not obsessively. Not suspiciously. Just intelligently. And maybe that frightened me because it shattered the version of him I had created in my own mind. The predictable husband. The emotionally simple man. The easy person to understand. He was none of those things. And strangely, that realization reignited something between us. Not fear. Awareness. Respect. Maybe even honesty for the first time in years. Because after that dinner, we began speaking differently. More openly. More carefully. More truthfully. And while nothing was ever fully exposed, nothing stayed exactly the same either. That night at the restaurant taught me something I never expected. The most powerful people in your life are not always the loudest ones. Sometimes they're the quiet observers. The ones studying everything while pretending not to notice. And when they finally decide to reveal how much they understand, it changes everything forever. That dinner didn't end with an argument. It ended with silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than words ever could. No accusations were made. No secrets were fully revealed. But something far more powerful happened. Awareness. Because sometimes the real shock isn't what is said at the table. It's realizing you were being understood more deeply than you ever imagined. If this story made you think, feel, or question the hidden layers in relationships, backhand index pointing right, subscribe for more emotional, suspense-filled, and deeply psychological stories that reveal what people don't say out loud. Disclaimer. This fictional story is created for entertainment purposes only and contains mature emotional themes. All characters and events are imaginary. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe for more emotional, suspenseful, and unforgettable stories.